Hello, students. Today, we are going to build on our understanding of heredity. We're going to explore what happens when we track not one, but two characteristics at the same time. This is what we call a dihybrid cross.
So let's start with a question that really puzzled Gregor Mendel after his first set of experiments. We know how a single trait, like plant height, is passed down, but what happens when we look at two traits together, say seed shape and seed color? Do they always stick together, like a package deal? Or can they be inherited separately?
To answer this, let's first do a very quick revision of what we learned about inheriting just a single trait. You'll remember, we call that a monohybrid cross.
Remember when Mendel crossed purebred tall and short pea plants? All the plants in the first generation, the F1 generation, were tall. But then, when those plants were self-pollinated, the second generation, or F2, showed something different. We got a ratio of 3 tall plants for every 1 short plant. That 3:1 ratio is a very important clue.
Okay, so now let's see how Mendel designed a new experiment to track two traits at the same time. He chose 2 true-breeding pea plants with 2 contrasting pairs of traits. One parent plant produced seeds that were always round and yellow. Its genotype we write as capital R, capital R, capital Y, capital Y. The other parent produced seeds that were always wrinkled and green. Its genotype is small r, small r, small y, small y.
So he crossed these 2 parent plants, and then he looked at the first generation of offspring, which we call the F1 generation.
And what he found was very interesting. Every single plant in this F1 generation produced seeds that were round and yellow. They all looked exactly like one of the parents. There was no mixing, no blending of characters at all.
This gave him a very important clue. It told him that the trait for round shape was dominant over wrinkled, and the trait for yellow color was dominant over green. But what happened to the traits for wrinkled and green? Were they lost forever? No, they were simply hidden. They are what we call recessive traits. And the genotype of all these F1 plants was a hybrid, capital R, capital Y, small y.
Now, to find out what happened to those hidden traits, Mendel allowed these F1 plants to self-pollinate. This created a second generation, the F2 generation, and this is where the real secret was revealed.
Now, before we see the results, it's very important to understand how the F1 plant forms its reproductive cells, its gametes. The alleles for shape, that is, capital R and small r, they separate from each other. At the same time, the alleles for color, capital Y and small y, also separate. And the most important part is that they combine independently. So capital R can go with capital Y, or capital R can go with small y. Similarly, small r can go with capital Y, or small r can go with small y. This gives us 4 possible types of gametes.
Okay, so let's look at this Punnett square. It helps us see all the possible combinations of offspring in the F2 generation. Now, I know this can look a bit overwhelming at first, but let's not worry. We will just count the different types of seeds that are produced.
And this is the most important finding. Mendel saw that besides the original parental types, there were also brand new combinations of traits appearing in this generation.
When Mendel carefully counted all the seeds, he found that on average, 9 out of every 16 seeds were round and yellow, just like one of the grandparent plants.
But here is where it gets really interesting. He found that 3 out of 16 seeds were round and green. Now, this is a new combination. This combination was not seen in the parents or in the F1 generation.
He also found that 3 out of 16 seeds were wrinkled and yellow. Again, another new combination.
And finally, only 1 out of 16 seeds was wrinkled and green, which was just like the other grandparent plant.
So this gives us the famous dihybrid phenotypic ratio. The ratio of the appearances of the seeds is 9 round and yellow, is to 3 round and green, is to 3 wrinkled and yellow, is to 1 wrinkled and green. That ratio, 9:3:3:1, is very important.
You see, the appearance of these new combinations, the round green and the wrinkled yellow seeds, was the key piece of evidence. This led Mendel to a very important conclusion about how different traits are passed down. He proposed what we now call the law of independent assortment. And what it simply means is this: the alleles for different characteristics, like seed shape and seed color, are inherited independently of one another. The inheritance of shape has no effect on the inheritance of color.
Let's use a simple analogy. Imagine you have some shirts and some trousers in a wardrobe. When you pick a shirt, does that choice affect which trousers you pick? No, of course not. You can pick any shirt with any pair of trousers. The two choices are independent. It's just like that with these traits.
So let's just quickly summarize the main points. First, when we track two traits at once, it's called a dihybrid cross. Second, we learn that traits for different features are inherited separately. This is the law of independent assortment. Third, this process is what creates new combinations of traits in the offspring. And finally, this leads to that classic dihybrid ratio of 9:3:3:1.
And this leaves us with a final thought. This simple rule, which Mendel discovered by looking at pea plants, is actually a fundamental reason for the incredible variety of life that we see all around us on Earth.